What's going on, Bucs fans? Rachel West and Rick Stroud here, getting you ready for the Bucs-Bengals game on Sunday, happening right over there in Ray J. And before we get to the matchup, though, Rick, let's start with the Bucs have been faced with a ton of injuries this week. Lots of guys in and out of practice. Some are going to be definitely out for the game, others questionable. So where do we stand with all that?
Well, they're really beat up on defense, and especially at the outside linebacker position. Carl Nassib is not going to play in this game. You've got Joe Tryon-Sherwinka, who is actually questionable with a hip injury. Jannard Avery is out. So they've been trying some guys out here this week that don't typically play that position at outside linebacker. And then you just look at the defense in general. Vita Vea, one of their best players on defense in the middle, he's out of this game with a calf injury. Jamel Dean, their best corner, you could say, this season, out with the toe injury. So when you're playing a team like Joe Burrow and Jamar Chase and those guys that are explosive on offense, to not have the ability to rush the passer could be a big problem.
Well, depending on who is out there, which players they have, a lot of the talk this week has been that it comes down to the players. Yeah. It's all on the players, whether they turn this thing around or not. The coaches can say all they want, and Todd Bowles, Byron Leftwich have faced a lot of heat this season, rightfully so probably, but at the end of the day, it does come down to the players. Yeah,
that was the message that Todd Bowles had in his meeting this week, was that, look, all our goals are still here, right? When you begin the season in July in training camp, you talk about winning the division. Well, they're in first place by a game, remarkably. The NFC South has been a bad division in terms of record, so at 6-7, they still have the lead. So if you win your division, you make the playoffs, you got a home game over here at Raymond James, just like they did last year. So I think the message to them was, we still control our own fate. And unbelievably, even if they were to lose against Cincinnati and the next week at Arizona on Christmas night, by beating just the Carolina Panthers at home and the Falcons on the road, they're still NFC South champs. So it's remarkable. It's been that kind of year, but all their goals are in front of them, and I think that was the message that Bowles had.
Truly wild that that's the case. Hard to wrap your mind around it. But like you said, they've got a tough task, how important it is or not, this Sunday going up against the Bengals. Joe Cool back there, Joe Burrow, that receiving core. I mean, they're in for a challenge.
They are, and they're kind of beat up at receiver in Cincinnati. I think T. Higgins is a little questionable. We'll see who shows up. I know who's going to show up, and that's Jamar Chase. And him and Joe Burrow have been prolific. He might be, according to Todd Bowles, the best receiver in the game right now, which is really saying something. We consider all the guys that are out there. But the Bengals are the hottest team, one of the hottest teams in the NFL, the hottest team in the AFC. They've won 5 in a row. They started 0-2. They've won 7 out of 8 games. The only thing you hang your hat on is that when you win 5 in a row, it's hard to win 6. That's the longest streak in the NFL right now by the 49ers. So it's an any given Sunday league, but there's no doubt this is one of the best teams in the AFC, if not the entire league, with Joe Cool.
Yeah, they're kind of on opposite trajectories as the Bucs. But we'll see if the Bucs can, yet again for another week, we'll say it, turn things around against the Bengals on Sunday. Make sure you guys are keeping up with all of our Bucs coverage that we have for you over on social media at Sports by Tampa Bay Times, as well as over at tampabay.com.